Welcome to Exhale by me, Sonya Stoeckert, where we hold space for honest conversations and transformative stories. Today, we are diving deep into the resilience and strength of women who have faced life's toughest challenges and the scars that they carry. And then watching as they emerge as survivors, entrepreneurs, creators, and leaders. These are women of God, women of purpose, who embody grace, grit, and power. Together, we will explore how they mindfully maneuvered through life's trials, found healing, and turned their experiences into victories. This is the space to celebrate their wins and honor their journeys. Let's exhale and begin. Let's take another breath together. Inhale through the nose and let it go through the lips. As we begin our conversation today with my beautiful guest, Debbie Musso, I just wanted to lead with, if any of this conversation triggers you in any way or you need any help, I will be putting the 1-800 hotline for domestic violence in the description. But if you need to just talk, please feel free, shoot me a text, hit me up on Instagram, and I'll be there and we'll talk. All right, let's introduce my best friend, Debbie Musso. Will you tell me a little bit about yourself so my friends can know a little more about you?
Of course, Sonya. I love that introduction. I am 52 years old. I have 3 children and 3 grandkids. I've gone through a lot of trials and tribulations. Everybody says I can probably write a book, and I probably will one day.
I second
but
that.
Today is the first start of what I feel should be talked about in life: trials and tribulations.
Definitely. Now, tell me a little bit more about what you do for a living, because it's actually a superpower what she does.
I am a full-time stylist. I've been a stylist for 35 years at least. I love to do my friend's hair like Sonya.
Thank you.
All that hair is not easy.
No.
I get my arm workout.
That's right. We always say shoulder workout, right?
Yeah. You know. So, but yeah, as a stylist, I day in and day out listen to everybody else's stories. And sometimes my stories back, because I am not afraid to talk about my stories, help others. And I think when Sonya came about this to me, I was thrilled to get on board because this should be talked about.
Definitely. And that's the biggest thing here is there might be just one sentence that you say in this podcast that could change somebody's life. Give them the strength to walk out of a situation that they felt hopeless and lost in. Maybe even spark the beginning of what we're allowed to do, and that's heal, you know? So if you want to, we're going to start with a few questions. We have our trusty notebooks here.
Yes.
There ain't no shame in our game. My first question to you is, can you share a little bit about your journey and what helped you find hope during your toughest moments? Because that's actually another superpower of you, is you exude hope. And
I do. I'm a very internal person.
Yes.
Even though I talk all day long about my life and everyone else's life, I don't really talk about my life. That's a lot of internal. So only a very few of my friends know, that little superpower of mine. But I guess it's just I'm such an empath. My reward is helping someone else.
right.
So in turn, I have to stop and then help myself sometimes, which I'm kind of on that motion right now.
Yes, you are.
I have a lot of things going on too, besides just hair, that is helping me, and a lot of motivational webinars and books and things, that you have to help yourself to get out of it.
Right. Definitely. And in those like super tough times, it's really easy for us to, be in despair and things like that. What was like something that kept your head like above water?
Oh, definitely my children.
I was just going to say, yes, ma'am.
And my grandchildren now. You gotta pray. You gotta believe in some higher power, whatever that is. Sonya's taught me to do a lot of breath work,
Yes.
which definitely helps, even though I don't make it to her yoga classes as much as I should.
Well, that's for another podcast.
That's another podcast. But yes, you just have to take the time to pause
Yep.
and hear things that are coming to you.
Yeah. And like you had said, like we have a higher power who, no matter what we walk through in life, is going to be there and going to hold us. I mean, I think that's what I had touched on here, that, for me personally, in those spaces of despair, like I just always knew God was there and holding me. Like every day you'd wake up and you just knew, even though you were walking through the darkest times of your life, like there was some entity there kind of holding you and still keeping you, And the kids definitely are, when you look at them, you can't give up, can you?
No.
You gotta keep trucking forward. So that leads me, as a domestic violence survivor, and which you are, in which a lot of women are. I'm really big on canceling the hush hush. I grew up with a lot of, we don't talk about that. That's not something to be brought up. But how do we get light in when we're not able to show our cracks and talk about things and ultimately heal off of each other? So that being said, can you speak about the turning point that allowed you to prioritize your self-worth and begin your healing?
Well, tell you a little story at the end of that relationship that turned bad. I was living in my ex-husband's house with his girlfriend because I had no place to go. And when you talk about being low, you know what I mean? As much as I knew I was cared for, it was a big awakening to me that this is not where I want to be. So finally got into my own place, and it gave me a turning to sit in those four walls with myself to say, for one, I was a big, how did I let this happen? So I had to forgive myself for understanding that it wasn't my fault.
And that's huge, because a lot of women do not realize that
Yeah.
until the smoke has cleared and they've already began that healing process.
I was always that one that said, oh, I'd fight back. I would never let someone do that to me. And in turn, it doesn't always come down like that, especially when it's happening and all you can think of is, why are you doing this to me?
Right.
So you have to get past that. Why are they doing it to you? Because they are they. Like, it has nothing to do with you. You have to get past the physical acceptance that you can move on.
Yeah.
It happened, and it's okay to talk about it, because I don't want someone else to go through that.
Right.
I know many people that have gone through it, and you just have to get back up and go.
Yeah. And in those moments, like I always reference back to the smoke clearing. You are so deep in that dense fog that you just don't know which way is up. And in those moments, there's a lot of gaslighting going on. So you start to believe these lies about yourself. And your self-esteem is just underneath the earth low. And in those moments, it can be very scary, and not knowing where we're going, what we're doing. And for you to even reach out to your ex is huge, because you knew that you needed to get out right then and there.
And the ironic thing is the ex that I've reached out to is probably why I have most of the damage.
You know?
Because he was a narcissist.
Yeah.
And I believe that we go through being in relationships with narcissists, and we're all a little narcissists. So we won't say, narcissists are all bad people. But when someone is always on your self-worth, like I didn't do things when I was in my younger years because of him. And, I didn't really fulfill my things that I wanted to because he was against them. When you finally step out of a marriage like that, which I did at that time, unfortunately, I felt like the people I dated after that were not good for me. Well, because I was still looking for that, which put me in a worse situation, you know? So, but to go back to, the original was kind of a weird situation. Yes. Yeah. But it is good that.
But even reaching out for help is a huge thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And we begin in those type of narcissistic relationships, and that teaches us a pattern. And, the pattern could have began from childhood. And then we get into these relationships where, again, they beat us down. We have no self-esteem. Mm-hmm. And then when we get out and we're free, it's really hard to find that self-worth again, self-esteem. And then we start to make those bad choices. Well, it's not our fault, because these narcissistic people that we encounter after being in a narcissistic relationship brings up, oh, this seems familiar. Mm-hmm. The best trick a narcissist has is the love bombing. Mm-hmm. And when you are beaten down and just lost from a previous relationship, those love bombs are like candy to someone who's not allowed to have candy, because you're starting to feel those feelings again. But they trick you and you start to believe, and it usually always takes a hard left and you're into that gaslighting, and your self-worth is being drugged down again, unfortunately.
Yes.
So definitely, and it's hard to recognize in those moments what is what, because our self are not recognizing things like that. We're in a lot of that fight or flight, and not in that rest and digest at all.
I would say it does. It brings up fight or flight, lots of medical things that happen through after that. People don't realize until you actually realize, that that's all an effect of that. So
it's not just mental.
It's not just mental.
It's physical.
You are not crazy.
It's emotional. You are not crazy.
You are not crazy.
No,
that was a big one.
No, not at all. Before we move on, let's just take a moment and touch on how we know each other, since we've brought up this ex of yours.
Oh, yes.
So Debbie and I were in a similar situation. We've just recently were out of a relationship, and God really just put her above me in the apartment complex.
Literally below you.
Literally. Below you? Yes. Oh, I was third floor.
You were third floor.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I try to forget that place.
Yeah, I know.
So right below me. She was generous enough to offer me a beer one day when I was moving.
You looked so stressed that day.
Oh, man. That was such a crazy time of my life.
Yes, mine too.
But you came into my life, and, like, honestly, you were my rock. Like, you were someone I could look up to. Like, we had walked through similar things, so we were able to talk about that. We were able to get together and have, girl nights that we deserved.
Our kids were the same age, which they're still friends. And, it worked out. And we were both, I think, in that similar situation with our exes and the meanness and the narcissism of them. We both kind of knew without even speaking, like, oh, no, okay, we got to handle this, you know. And we helped each other through it.
We've protected each other at times too.
Many much, yeah.
Yeah, we won't go deeper into that, but
No, that's another podcast.
that is another podcast. She was there when I needed it, and
Vice versa.
vice versa.
We
Yeah.
had a lot of things happen between then and now, 10
Yes.
years.
But I mean, this is really cool that we get to sit down and just celebrate our growth.
Wow, I know.
Yeah.
It is crazy to actually sit and watch, and I've watched you. I mean, I knew you before you started yoga.
I know. I know. And
So-
you've watched my life be transformed.
But yeah, when you started, and I was like, okay. I mean, like, go for it, you know.
Right.
And it's fit you ever since. It was
Thank
that
you.
was one of your awakenings in life.
It was. It was. I was
Yeah.
always a godly person. I trusted in God. I trusted in, Jesus. And when I did that yoga teacher training, it just like
Yeah, it
blew
was a lot.
up my spiritual.
It was your aha moment.
It
I
was
think,
my
in life.
aha moment. And it allowed me to say, you know what? You walked through X, Y, and Z. That probably would have, sent somebody to their grave. But here you are standing, and now you have permission to go back, revisit that person, heal, forgive, move on, and now become a better person.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here to celebrate for you, because I've been here witnessing you just getting higher and up. And
It's from being told over and over and over that you'll never amount to nothing. You'll never do it on your own.
yeah, and look at us on a podcast.
I'm doing it now.
We're doing it, girl. High five. All right, let's go into building self-confidence and self-respect, because that's a huge thing
Yes.
that we lose when we are involved in narcissistic behaviors, in domestic violence. And how did you begin to rebuild your self-confidence and sense of identity after leaving, aka getting out?
I mean, I have multiple times, like, you know what I mean, that
Yeah.
I can say this is for, but I mean, my biggest thing is finding out who I was.
Yeah.
Because I lost myself, and I'm still learning.
We all
like,
are.
yeah, this is still a learning process. I'm great at hair, and I love hair.
You are.
But after 35 years, I'm my body is starting to break down as I'm, hitting those years.
Yeah, how many hours a day do you work? So, like 8 hours cutting hair, you're on your
10.
feet
Yeah,
the
you're
entire
standing there.
time.
And
Yeah,
I'm a non-stopper. I
know you are.
Yeah. If I'm there to work, I work.
exactly.
But recently I've been dived in travel. I'm not getting to travel yet, but I
love
will.
travel.
But I've discovered this travel business, and I love to learn. So I'm learning. It's actually giving me more self-worth watching the webinars and the podcasts and self-motivation, because it's a lot of marketing. I'm a self-helper, so I need the rah-rah. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
Like, to get me through things. Where some people hide in a hole.
Yeah.
I could only do that for a day, and I do.
Right.
That is a way.
And we all need to take time and rest and listen to our bodies.
But yeah, I mean, mostly just trying to self-help myself. That's what keeps you climbing. You got to know that you're worth it,
Right.
and you got to do it for you. Even I do things for my children's, but at some point you got to do things for you.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just going to keep putting the cycle around, and God just keeps putting you through it until you get it right. So how many
Right.
times you want to go through it?
Exactly.
That's what I finally
Right,
learned.
right,
I was like, oh,
exactly.
this is familiar.
Oh, well, I should know what to do right now. Every situation's different. I do applaud you reaching to the travel business. I mean, I think that highlights like one of your most special gifts, and it's your personality. If I'm traveling, the last thing I want to do is put all that stuff together, and to know that I can reach out to you and just tell you what I want to do, where I want to go, and you set that all up, and that's just That's amazing.
I can do that.
I love that. You keep trucking on, and
I
you
keep busy.
You keep finding that self-confidence because you're totally worth it.
Yes.
Now, what advice would you give? Which kind of just, kind of keep ourselves busy. What advice would you give someone struggling to see their value or even feel confident again?
Find your why.
Yeah.
Find what your why is and focus on that. And don't let anything else in that doesn't focus on that. Whether it's building your self-esteem, whether it's making more money, whether it's getting a house, like, or just feeling good and going on a nature walk or getting to a yoga class,
Exactly.
Just focus on your why and actually put it down on paper. I
Yeah.
have to put it on paper.
You write it down, it's law.
I have to write it down. Yeah. Accountability doesn't even hold me. I'm really not good at that either because I'm like, there's always tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. You write that down on pen and paper.
I'm learning this right now to do DMOs, daily morning routines. Like,
I love that.
operations, not routines, but DMO, daily morning operations.
I love that. But that gives us, a sense of accomplishment too at the end of the day. Like, I'm super ADHD, so I'm like all over the place. So lists are my life, like to the point where if I do something that's not on my list, I'll write it on my list to give me some of that instant gratification. Because guess what? We're allowed to do that.
We are allowed.
Yeah.
We're human. We're not robots
Amen.
yet.
Amen. Yeah, amen.
I'm not a robot yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I wrote a little note here on that question. My personal advice is always give it to God. I mean, you might have to surrender it 9,576 times, but God heard you the first time. When building that confidence back, just wait for the smoke to clear because you can't see anything in those moments when you're directly out of a domestic violence relationship or a narcissistic relationship. Like, you have to, time is your best friend. And just really, I say this all the time, either way, it's going to be okay. So every day you wake up, make that part of your mantra. It's going to be okay either way.
My favorite quote is, "This too shall pass."
Amen.
This too shall pass. And my kids know it every time something comes up because life happens on a daily basis sometimes.
And everything's temporary, really.
Yeah.
I mean, we could get as deep as, grief is not so temporary, but in the moments that we feel them, we get stronger and are able to go about our daily life. So, I mean, everything is temporary. So, moving on from there, let's get excited.
All right.
Life and empowerment.
Yes.
You balance being a cosmetologist and the best travel agent out there with such, and my favorite part of you, energy. I love it. How have these careers helped you find and keep joy and independence? And we kind of touched on that about finding, your worth again. But really, how does that help you keep joy and independence?
Well, I mean, my job is to make other people happy. So
And you do that
I have
well.
to be happy.
Yeah.
And, I was always taught going in and doing your job, you leave whatever's happening in your life at the door. It's not, unless someone wants to talk about it. But you got to just be happy. We woke up. We're above ground.
Green side up.
We were,
Amen.
yeah, that's right. Some people weren't that lucky. So if I'm upright, I hear so many stories that when I hear someone else's stories, they say that when you hear someone else's stories, and you always want to give away your stories, you'll hear someone else's stories that's 10 times worse, and you're like, I want my story back.
Yeah.
Because sometimes what you feel is so horrible is really just like someone else is dreaming of having it that good, So I don't know. I guess I just always think the positive. I'm an optimistic. Again, this too shall pass. Live by the golden rule. We're a big serenity prayer in our family. And,
I love that.
Know when to walk away from things, know when to change them, and keep going.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. I love that. And it's so true.
And don't stop learning.
No, don't
You're
stop
never too
learning.
old.
You're never, ever too old.
No.
There's so many book authors who didn't even get book signings till they're in their 40s and 50s. And yeah, never
Yep.
stop learning. Never. It just makes you more powerful.
That's
I'm
right.
down with that. Now, how do you practice self-care? Because as a cosmetologist, you are healing other people.
Yeah.
And I mean, kind of like with my job, we can start to experience some burnout because we give. And your job, you're constantly giving, you're constantly listening to people's stories, you're constantly a shoulder to cry on or a cheerleader for these people. So how do you get your self-care in?
I need silence for self-care.
Okay.
At least when I get home from my day, I kind of need to take that hour to de-stress, maybe grab a glass of wine, you know what I mean? Just kind of sit maybe, outside or inside wherever and play with my cats. Like, I don't know, they're kind of my...
She has the most amazing cats, by the way.
I am the cat woman. No.
Matrix is my favorite, but he's a troublemaker.
He's the troublemaker. Yeah, it's my Willow. She's my cuddler.
I love
But
that.
I mean, you just have to kind of take a deep breath and let it go and not take everyone's... Hairdressers have a big thing. You don't realize how much we go home and rethink about people's formulas.
Right.
Or like thinking of a trip that someone's going on. Like we're constantly 24 hours a day in our phones.
Yeah.
People will message me at midnight for a hair appointment.
Right.
And that's okay,
Emergencies
sometimes,
happen.
Sometimes I answer.
Right.
But to get through it, yeah, you just have to learn to breathe
Yeah.
or pray, or
Yeah.
take a bath or
Yeah.
but I'm a quiet. I like the quiet.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much noise kind of gets my PTSD,
Right.
going crazy. So I have to deflate my brain.
Yes. And I love that you recognize that that's your thing. Some people, it might be going to a gym and working out. Some people, it might be taking a walk in nature. Like, I'd love to walk in nature
like to walk
around
in
here.
nature. Yeah, nature
It's
is another
gorgeous.
one.
Yeah, definitely. There's so many things we can do, but just know that you make time for yourself. And as I say in every one of my yoga classes, self-care is never selfish because we cannot pour from an empty cup. If there's nothing in the cup, how are we going to show up for our people,
That's right.
especially our family? All right. Dating again.
Oh boy.
This is my favorite subject with you. Let's see. But also dating with hope and strength. So, what was your mindset when you decided to start dating again, and how did you approach it differently this time?
That's such a
I
two-sided
can't wait to
question
hear your
for me.
answer here.
Okay. So, I've been in the dating world for probably 10 years now. So, when I first got out of my marriage, my narcissist will say
Yes.
situation,
Yes.
dating, I just dated kind of to date. I didn't really see, I just wanted something different, I
Yeah.
think, it was just different from him.
Yeah.
So I didn't make wise choices. I mean, nice people, but not wise choices for me.
Right. Right.
As I've gotten familiar with the dating scene now, I've been in and out a few times. Now I look for what's good for me.
Yeah.
And, it's hard. Like, it's hard. And it's hard, especially in your 50s. Like, you're kind of set in your ways. I'm learning to love myself. I'm learning to live by myself.
Yes.
I'm learning who I am. I don't
Yes.
even really know anymore. The things that I always said, yeah, I love to do this. I don't even know because I
Right.
don't even know if I could do it anymore.
Right.
We change. So now dating looks like I need someone to fit into my life that doesn't stress me out or just do things that I'm like, that's not what I'm striving for. Like, I need someone to be on the same level.
Yeah.
But it is still hard. I still tend to go for that bad boy, but
Bad boy.
bad boy. So, and not that that's a bad thing. There's lots of good ones, but
Yeah, there's probably some respectful
there's some
bad
respectful
boys out
bad
there.
boys if they at that maybe. I don't know. So you're trying to find that balance of
Yeah.
someone because you're seeing new things in yourself that now you're trying to find that new person that fits into who you are that you're still unsure of.
Right.
Yeah.
And just something that came to mind for me with you is I am envious because you are very content by yourself.
I am.
You really are.
I
That's
am.
a beautiful thing. And a
Yeah.
lot of people do not connect well to being by themselves.
I almost
And
prefer to go
Yeah,
by
and I
myself.
applaud you for that. So does that make dating kind of difficult because they kind of try to creep into like your time, you know?
Well, I think what happens is I start talking to someone, and then when I realize they want too much of me, I
Right.
back right out the door.
Right.
And they could be a perfectly good person, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard.
Yeah.
It is. As I said, they have to wow me with something.
Well, you deserve that.
Yeah.
You really do.
And I get a lot of wows, people have a lot of wows, but then when their real self comes out after a
Correct.
few months, you're like,
After the love bombing's over.
yeah, after, you
Yeah.
get to know them and their traits and the things, and you wonder, and you're like, that's going to annoy me. And if it annoys you now,
Yeah.
it's going to continue.
Yeah, because you got those rose-colored glasses on in the beginning, and then
Yeah.
little red flags here and there turn into
Well,
big banners.
because we've learned from them,
Mm-hmm.
and we've had things happen from them that
Right.
now you don't. I have a big wall. It
Yeah.
does put a big wall up, I think, when you're trying to date, and it takes the right person to chip away at that wall. And I've had some chip
Yeah.
quite far. They've
Yeah.
chipped away.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, goes back up. Something happens. So hopefully,
Yeah.
I think I still need to find myself more.
Right.
I don't think I'm done healing,
And that's okay.
and that's okay.
And that really brings me to the situation of, jumping out of a narcissistic relationship or a domestic violence relationship. We tend to continue to bleed. The wounds aren't closed up yet.
Yes.
So now we have this great guy who's willing to chip away at our walls, and then we're inevitably still bleeding from the last relationship. So I really applaud the way that you do take your time and heal and take those moments. Like, we're never fully healed, we're always learning.
Yes.
Just like you said, we're always learning. But I love that you respect yourself enough to take some time to, take time for yourself and start that healing process rather than jumping into another relationship and
Yeah.
ultimately might putting yourself through the whole.
Well, I realized with a relationship is nice, but I've hit a point in my life where I'm not finished doing stuff for me
Yeah.
or my children.
Yeah.
And getting to the level that I want to do.
Right.
And not so much in hair, but again, in the travel and the networking end of that, I feel something there, you
Yeah.
know? So I want to kind of go incognito for 3 months,
Yeah.
maybe 6 months right now, and
Yeah.
kind of just focus.
Focus on you.
Focus on me.
Focus on
I don't
you,
need-
your career.
Yeah,
And
you got to be serious when you go for things like that. You can't be going out every weekend. You can't be, which
Yeah.
is hard for me because
Right.
I am a social butterfly.
Of course.
So
course.
I have to really, dig down and be like, this is something I want, and I'm going to go for it, and nothing's going to stand in my way.
And guess what? I believe in you 110%.
Yay, thank you.
All right, let's try this next one. How do you navigate relationships now with self-respect and healthy boundaries? Which we kind of already touched on
Kind of
that.
touched on if I see something not,
Yeah.
that I feel is going to be good for me in my life. Sometimes it's not even about me. Sometimes it's about someone fitting into my crazy, insane life with my children. I have grown children. I have a teenager that's trying to become 21, even though she's 17.
She's my favorite.
Graduating high school. And then I have grandchildren. And
Right.
they range from 3, 8 to 11 now, So we're hitting all aspects of things. So my life is always busy.
Yeah,
and
I
it
was just gonna
literally
say.
changes not by the day, by the hour.
Right.
From moment to moment. So trying to put a relationship in there, I've just learned that it's not, it's got to be the right person.
Yeah.
And you can tell right away when they don't fit.
Yeah.
Because my family will tell me.
Oh, yeah. And I trust.
And I trust them.
I do trust their
most
guidance
of the time.
as well. Most of the time.
I usually try to push it a little longer, being like, they're so nice though. But I
Right.
like them.
Right.
And they're like, not for you. Not
They don't
for
have
you.
those rose-colored
They don't have
glasses
those.
on.
And I should learn to listen to them more.
Right,
Because I
right.
don't.
Definitely. So I love this question so much. I'm going to say the question. I'm going to tell you a little tidbit about what I think about this question, and then I want to hear your answer. So, and this could probably be a whole nother podcast in itself as well. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be? I don't think I have one. I have two pieces, but it's my favorite, and I might have stole it from you. I don't know. You have to kiss frogs to find your prince. You really do. We live, we learn. But relationships should always bring life, not death.
That's a big one.
That is a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
All right, your turn.
Well, mine. I'm like, wait, I haven't.
Get your notes.
I
Ain't
haven't
no
looked
shame
at
in
my
the game,
notes,
best
but
friend.
I just want to see what I wrote down on this one because I
slaying
kinda
anyways.
remember this one. Okay, so my
It's
message.
an important one, I feel
I
like.
feel too.
Because, if people are listening and
And
they want
I wrote down a bunch because I'm a note person, but I've been good. I've remembered
I
most
know.
of. See, I write it down, and I give myself key points, and then I remember. So, first, let me inhale.
exhale.
That's how I would feel.
Let
Because
it go.
you need to stop and smell the roses a lot of times when you're young. You're go. You feel like you want to be older before you're younger. And God, in your 20s and 30s, I wish I knew now, to stop and just be, don't not tell your story even as a young age because they all still
Right.
have a story, but you're going to have more of a story when you get older. So do things, live for them, definitely invest because it will
You heard it,
help
you heard it right here.
Yeah, invest. But don't stop believing in yourself.
Yeah.
Don't stop believing in yourself. Don't let someone change that,
Right.
especially in a relationship.
Right.
Yeah, that's, work harder and it'll pay off, listen to people.
That's a huge thing.
That's a big thing.
Because when you're a teenager and someone gives you advice, you're like, la la la, I already know what I'm doing. I already know where I'm going. It's fine. But
I know it all.
looking back
I wish
on
I was.
those things, I was like, ooh, okay, they were right. Like,
I even wish I would have listened to my dad in more, he was very detail oriented and good with money, and
Right.
my mom too, pretty good, with that. My dad was definitely that. It skipped my generation, I feel, the detail oriented stuff. But I'm very glad my oldest daughter got it.
Yes.
Chrissy is sorry.
No,
she's
we love
just
her.
great at that.
Yeah.
I've watched her grow through. And that's what I think keeps me going. I watch her go through things, and I watch my son go through things, and they're in their 30s.
But remember, like, you were their rock,
Yeah.
and they're going through these things and exceeding expectations
Yeah.
because of what you taught them.
I
through
hope
life.
so. You
Yeah.
hope so.
Oh, yeah.
You hope so. Yeah. When you hear something come back at you, you're like, oh, yay.
It did.
But I
You
hear my mother
listened.
and me all the time
Of
now.
course.
So, it's,
Uh-huh.
yeah. But just listen to people that are a little older.
Yeah.
We're not stupid.
No, we're not stupid or mean or trying
We're
to
not trying
be
to
out
be
to
like,
get
oh,
you.
I did that, done that. You've done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just learn from
We're just
our
like,
mistakes.
we just want to shake you and be like, please, just
Yes.
trust us.
Exactly. Now, I've always noticed a key thing for relationships, and I've heard this from a few people, and I never really realized it until I had personally been through a domestic violence situation. In the beginning, maybe this all could have been avoided, even though I feel like God never puts us through stuff that we don't need for our purpose later in life. Is the way men treat their mothers. Can you agree with that? Like
100%.
the way they show up, talk about their mothers, the way they, treat their mothers, like that to me is such a big red flag. And if we could share that piece of advice with younger females or even people going through relationships right now, like, man, if they treat their mom like dog doo-doo, like, run.
Yeah, I never at first thought that was a true fact when they'd say watched how they treat their mothers or their sisters or something like that. But after living through things, I can say 90% of that is factual as far as if they're not treating them good or just, not very loving or like a son should be, or a brother should be. Like they're not going to treat their girl like that either.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't respect your mom.
Especially when they're like older, like mid, like, I mean, younger, it's hard because they're still so immature.
Of course, yeah.
But if they're a little older and they've been through some things in life and, they don't treat their women around them.
Bad to say.
Maybe it's just because they weren't raised right. I go always because again, optimistic. I'm like, well, maybe.
Well, see, it's because of this.
Yeah.
But
because I always try to see the better in someone.
I know you do. And that's why I love you.
And there are plenty of women out there that are just as narcissistic and abusive, so
yes,
I try to understand both sides. But I would say that's a true fact that I would look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
most good people are good people.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's your mom. Like, be nice to your freaking mom. Like,
right.
What the heck?
Yeah. Even if you don't agree with all this stuff, it's still
gave you
your
life.
Mom. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I put this on my Instagram today, kind of saying the word domestic violence. And just, I want to hear people's reaction. I wasn't trying to trigger anyone. I just want to know, like, how that feels when you say that word. And I got some pretty funny responses.
I was going to
so
say,
far. Yeah.
I did see you do that, and knowing that we were doing this today, I took a moment. I kind of chuckled because I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But
my little sneak peek.
Yeah, any of us that know this stuff. When I hear it, I hear strength.
Yeah.
In someone, especially if you can talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear strength in anyone that's gotten through it and out of it. Anyone that's still staying, even though they know they want to get out of it, that can't. It will come a time. It took me 2 years before I got out of a situation that I knew I was going to have to get out of.
That smoke and that fog is thick, girl.
Yeah.
When you're in that situation. And, your friends really look at you from the outside and they're like, why can't you just leave? Why can't you just get unless you've walked in that situation.
Yeah, there's tons of reasons.
Yeah, there's tons of reasons.
Yeah.
So, and it's not because we're weak.
No.
It's not.
No.
We probably stay because we're strong.
Well, because you always feel you're still trying to help them. You're not helping yourself. You're trying to help them, and you feel you have to be that rock that helps them, and in turn you damage yourself.
Yeah.
But I think the word domestic abuse, even as I was leaving the salon today and everyone, I kind of was telling people what I was doing and they're like, what's the subject? And it was true. The minute I said it's on abuse and domestic abuse and how to get through it, and quickly people go quiet.
Oh, yeah.
Or they say, oh, that's awesome,
right.
But more than likely it was
and we could probably scale
quiet.
On where people sit with that word. like I said, that was hush. We don't talk about things like that. Well, guess what? I'm an adult now, and I talk about things like that because we don't know who this could impact.
Oh, yeah.
One sentence from this podcast could give a woman the strength to walk out that door today.
Yeah.
There could be a sentence from here that gives a woman strength to say, you know what? I'm done with blaming myself for all that this has happened, that I'm going to heal now because healing is possible, you know? I'm going to list that domestic help hotline number if this triggers anything in anyone, and you need to reach out. Again, I'm
here.
open. Debbie's open.
Always.
Go get your hair did with her.
Hey, more people, we're hair therapists. More people sit in my
Yeah.
chair for me to listen to their stories.
You really are a hair therapist.
Yeah.
And those walls in that salon,
Oh, yeah.
they don't talk.
No, they don't talk.
They don't talk.
We're
So,
there for everybody. I was going to just add,
Yeah.
if you're in that situation and you're not ready to leave yet, I would say the biggest thing, just start making a plan.
yeah.
Just start making a plan. There's ways you can make plans without making someone realize what you're doing
Right.
until you're ready to do it.
Yeah.
Because that's a big factor. Sometimes
Yeah.
people are scared,
Yeah.
So just start making a plan.
Right.
Find
And
that one friend to talk to that you can set things
Exactly.
up with,
right.
Yeah.
And
You never know who you find.
I
see?
know. I love this. Like one of the hardest times of my life came out to bring me my best friend in the whole world.
Yeah.
And not to mention the only one I let touch this mop here, who she makes it very manageable and gives me exactly what I want, except for when I feel like going to dark, and then she
And
tells me
platinum again.
no, because she knows I'll be platinum the next week.
Even though
so.
I still love your platinum and purple.
I
I seen
know.
that the other day.
I
I'm like,
know.
oh, I love
love
that
it
on
so
you.
much. That's awesome. Yes, I should do more purple. Maybe we'll take like a poll or something. Should I bring
Yeah.
the purple back?
Maybe not as much, but maybe just incorporate it
Yeah.
somewhere.
Is there anything else that you would like to chat, say?
I am just super glad you gave me this opportunity. This is something that I have always wanted to do. And again, one of the things that I didn't have the confidence or strength to figure out how to do it. So it's weird who comes into our lives at different times.
Right.
Maybe it wasn't my time to talk about it 10 years ago. It was your time to talk about it now.
Right.
Yeah.
And I applaud you and I appreciate you for coming on here and talking about such a hard subject. I really feel like you are going to help bring some hope and some healing into some people's lives that are just stuck in that fog right now, or on the other side of the fog, and knowing that there is hope, like we can move on. So
There is.
yeah,
Put the crown on you and continue. And
take it
and
pivot.
push it up. And
That's right.
That's right. There's lots of people around you. And if they
That's
push your
right.
crown up for you, they're your people.
They are. You got to find your
You
tribe.
gotta find your tribe. Not everyone is your tribe.
No, not everyone
and not
is your
everyone
tribe.
hears your story and uses it for the good. They will use it against you. Don't let them. Speak your
That
truth.
can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speak your truth.
Speak your truth. Be who you are. I always say I tell the truth. And there's nothing I'm hiding from anyone. So
I know. I get called out on that a
Right.
lot because if you don't want an answer, don't ask me. I'm not.
I know.
Because either I'm not going to answer
Right.
or I'm going to really answer. My Jersey kind of comes out in me, and and sometimes I need to hear that. Like sometimes
Of course.
I sometimes people don't tell it to me
Right.
because they think I'm such a strong person that I wouldn't want to hear it. But I love hearing constructive criticism
Yeah.
against me. Like don't bash me, but
Yeah.
if you say, hey, that's not working.
Right.
I might put it into my own way of how I want to
Of course.
come out of it or help it. But,
And constructive criticism is something that we need to grow.
and a lot of the young ones, that's a hard thing.
That's a very hard thing.
It's hard, yeah.
Yeah.
You got to get past that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate you so very much. As soon as these microphones are out of the way, I'm going to give you a big old hug.
Yay.
And I do appreciate you. And together, we're going to help one person at a time.
Yes.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, send to your friend, send to your friend's friend's friend. And thank you. Have a blessed day. Mwah!